Komsibenta banyak kon persya jing jelai jong drugs kat badang mi kisngi hapo ka jala uba polling do ubari menteri sarkar ubari pe katanat social welfare ula lumlang ki nongïalam niam jog ka jala na ka benta ban pan ka jing kersyan na ki banyak kon persya yaw drugs ubala penjat ban praya ki babun ki longïing longsam hapo ka jala na mar ka jing kerni ka jong ki hau new jat jing di bapen buan. Habay kran ba kilat patay kubor din balaway ka jingalang ya kabaw lakot kerpang ki officer na gibabun ki tanat sarkar bat kumju ru iki nongïalam niam na ki kunhun baper uba polling do ulaang bahadin bawla itu lingba ka jingsyam baki dan hado nyotli ki district ki balongkum ki hotspot ki bajur bhaw drugs na kalyang jong new menteri sarkar ula bu ka jingken tui ki nongïalam niam banyarap lam da ka balet panya syllok bat ki brio haki yen ki sam halor kani ka jings new new drugs.
On a very serious challenge to the state of Meghalaya, which is the unprecedented rise in the number of cases of drug addiction, drug peddling, and allied issues. So today's meeting was convened with the intention of soliciting the support of various faith organizations, and the response was tremendous. We had representations from various church organizations, and a number of very important suggestions also emerged from the meeting, where the discussion was confined to the need to up the ante against the narcotics situation. And suggestions have come that the need to increase the number of counseling that we're doing, the intensity of counseling, awareness programs, and destigmatization of the drug users. And briefly, as a result of the discussions, we agreed on a two-pronged approach. The first is to involve the various faith organizations in coming forward and joining the campaign against drug abuse. The members who attended were briefed that at this stage we have earmarked an amount of rupees 10 crore per annum, which will work out to 50 crores in 5 years, for the implementation of the elimination of drugs and substance use. And the faith organizations have been requested to go back and have their in-house consultations. We will then, based on their requirement, fund the publicity campaign. And also I had suggested that since a lot of schools also come under these organizations, students can be asked to take a pledge on a daily basis to not abuse himself or his friends, or engage in activities that lead to narcotic addiction. So one of the other major decision that we took was, since this involves large areas of the state, in fact, as many as 7 districts have been identified as hotspot districts, we will intensify this campaign, involve the other districts as well. But as a pilot project, we will first, since Shillong is a major hotspot, the on a pilot project basis, we will zone Shillong into various zones, and each of these zones there will be regular interaction and review of the extent of the problem, identification of users, identification of peddlers, and coordination with all line departments, the Dorbar Shnongs, and the social welfare department and health department. So, briefly, this is what was discussed, and subsequent to this, we will also involve organizations, Dorbar Shnongs, and NGOs that have not been invited so far, because inviting all of them in one single meet involves huge problems of logistics. So, but at the third meeting, we will certainly widen the scope of involving more such organizations. So, this is briefly what was discussed today. As I said, we have identified hotspot districts. We will concentrate on those. But at the same time, we will be allotting funds to all the districts, and NGOs, faith organizations, and other such entities with credible credentials can also come forward. But at this stage, we have first approached the faith organizations because they have the infrastructure, they have their churches, they have their schools. So, based on that consideration, we have asked them to come up with proposals so that the pilot project can take off immediately.
How will you ensure transparent utilization of the funds?
We have a system in place. We have a mission director. We are going to appoint a mission director, and then we also have these development associates drawn from the planning department. All expenditure incurred uh, will be we will ensure that it is transparent. No, it was just a suggestion to the faith leaders. They will be meeting on the 19th, and then they come back to the government. That suggestion had emerged at the last meeting, for which we need to coordinate with the Department of Education first. Well, religious organizations play a very big role in the state of Meghalaya, and if you know we start preaching openly about drug addiction and how parents and how us responsible citizens, you should, beginning from home, start to curb and eliminate drug abuse. Then the message, they are a very, very significant player in molding the future of Meghalaya. In fact, when you have collection from churchgoers at every service, they can have certain services where they say that whatever we collect today will be used for the anti-drugs campaign. If you remember what I had mentioned earlier once in the house, it's very important that to prevent and rule out the possibility of a nexus, there has to be very frequent transfer of officers. It might not have to be from one district to the other, but from one office to the other office, and not to allow police officials, for instance, to develop a vested interest in a district. And once that is done, the possibility of a nexus will be eliminated. Second is, since we are invoking that very important act, which is called the PIT NDPS 1988, which arms the government with the power of making detentions, it'll be a big deterrent. We, as I mentioned the other day, we have been supporting these de-addiction centers. In fact, the majority of them are being funded and supported by the Social Welfare Department. 11, a total of 11. So, in addition to that,
We
we've
will expand
proposed,
through this program. We will also expand those services.
and we've proposed four new
Yes.
centers,
Yes.
four new such centers. So, yeah, everybody, including the church organizations, religious organizations, are also invited to come up with proposals, and whatever support they require from the government, we there to support. Already, as I indicated the other day, we have agreed to set up an advisory board, which will be headed by a retired High Court judge who is very familiar with Meghalaya. And we have faith that this advisory board will give each one a fair hearing so that there will be no possibility of abusing the provisions of the existing act. And also, we will be framing rules under this act to make it more stringent.